Yes, students, welcome to the next video lecture. Students, today we are going to do a new formula to find regression coefficient B. And based on that formula, students, we are going to do the sums. So try to understand, students. Today we are going to do new formula to find regression coefficient B. Now students, as usual, the regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx, where a and b are constants to be found out. B is the regression coefficient and a is the intercept. Now students, when correlation coefficient is given, then byx is equal to r into sy upon sx. This is the new formula, students, to find regression coefficient B. So whenever correlation coefficient is given and standard deviation of x and y are given, students, we have to use this formula. Recall the technique to remember the formula: always x terms comes in the denominator. So here it is r into sy upon sx. Now students, let us apply this formula to the short sums, especially when the correlation coefficient r is given, students. Now concentrate, students. I am doing exercise 3.2, sum number 7. Exercise 3.2, sum number 7. The data reads as follows. The following information is obtained to study the relationship between average rainfall in centimeter and yield of maize in quintal per hectare in different taluka of Gujarat. Estimate the yield of maize when rainfall is 60 centimeter. So you have to estimate yield. Of course, production depends upon rainfall. So definitely rainfall is independent variable x and yield of maize is dependent variable y. So let us start with the question, students. Then sum number 7. X is rainfall and y is equal to yield of maize. I am not writing, that is understood. Now students, the data which is given, you carefully read. Mean of x is 82 and you can say mean of y is 180. Variance of x is 64 and variance of y is 225, and correlation coefficient r is equal to 0.82. So best option, the best approach to the sum when r is given, always we have to use this formula, students, to find regression coefficient B. Now variance of x is 64, means sx square is 64, so this implies sx is 8. Variance of y is 225, students. This implies standard deviation of y is 50. And of course r is given as 0.82. So students, now we have to use the formula byx is equal to r into sy upon sx. So the regression coefficient byx is equal to r into sy upon sx, 0.82 into 15 upon 8. Students, this will give us the value of regression coefficient B, students. And B we have calculated, students. The answer of B is 1.54. Now we find A, which is y bar minus bx bar. Students, now we find A, which is y bar minus bx bar. So y bar is how much? 180 minus 1.54 into x bar is 82. This is calculated as 53.72. So students, after finding b and a, simply we have to write the regression line is y cap is equal to 53.72 plus 1.54x. And estimate the yield when x is 60. That I am writing here, students. When x is 60 centimeter, estimate of y will be 53.72 plus 1.54 into 60. Whatever answer you get, that is the yield of maize in quintal per hectare. So students, if we summarize till date, we have studied three formulas to find b. First was when you can say x bar and y bar are integers, b is equal to sigma x minus x bar y minus y bar upon sigma x minus x bar whole square. Second, when either of the means are not integers or both are not integers, b is equal to n sigma xy minus sigma x into sigma y upon n sigma of x square minus sigma x the whole square. And third was the shortcut method formula, byx is equal to bvu into cy upon cx. Students, in the last lecture I demonstrated this fact with many short sums and examples, students, which you would have gone through. So those three formulas plus this is the additional fourth formula, and students, this formula is specifically used when correlation coefficient r is given. This I am not summarizing, but when x is 60, students, you can easily find the estimate of yield of maize. So that is what was the sum. So this formula is used when correlation coefficient, students, r is given. Now students, I am doing the 8th sum of same exercise 3.2. Students, I am doing the 8th sum of exercise 3.2. Now here I am not telling in advance that which formula we have to use. Let us first of all collect the data. The following results are obtained to study the relation between the price of battery of wristwatch in rupees, which is x, and supply in 100 units, which is y. So x is price and y is supply. I am not noting down. This is already, students, given in the sum. So we usually start with according to given x is price in rupees of battery and y is equal to supply in 100 units. Now students, they have given that n is equal to 10. Exercise 3.2, sum number 8, n is equal to 10. Sigma x is 130. Sigma y is 220. Sigma of x square is 2288 and sigma xy is 3467. This is the given data. Now students, this data fits into the second form. B is equal to n sigma of xy minus sigma x into sigma y upon n sigma of x square minus sigma x the whole square. Even though the mean are integer, students, the data is appropriate for second formula. That is why we use, students, the second formula. Now regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. That I am not writing in statement, just I am writing in equation. Now b will be n sigma of xy minus sigma x into sigma y upon n sigma x square minus sigma x the whole square. So this turns out to be 10 into 3467 minus 130 into 220 upon 10 into 2288 minus 130 the whole square. So students, this is what we have to simplify. Now simplifying, and you can say finally substituting, this turns out to be 1.02. That you can easily do with the help of calculator. Now students, A will be y bar minus Vx bar. Now sigma y is 220 upon 10, so y bar will be 22, 1.02, x bar will be 130 upon 10, so 30. So this turns out to be 8.74. So students, substituting the values of A and B, the regression line turns out to be 8.74 plus 1.02x. And it is told that when x is 16 rupees, find the estimate of y. That turns out to be 25.06 in 100 units. So students, when data is given, then depending upon the data, students, we have to use the appropriate formula. And the formula fitting for the given data was the second formula, students, alternative formula. Now coming to the similar sums from exercise 3, let us check, students. Now pay attention. I think MCQs we have done up to 7 or 8 also we have done. Okay, now students, MCQ 9, students. Section A, students, MCQ 9. Now all of you pay attention. The question is in this form, that for which value of correlation coefficient R, the regression coefficient becomes 0. Now students, just now we took the formula Byx is equal to now students, pay attention. Just now I took this formula Byx is equal to R into Sy divided by Sx. Now students, if R is 0, then 0 into Sy will be 0, 0 upon Sx will be 0. So for what value of correlation coefficient R, the value of regression coefficient becomes 0, then the answer is R is equal to 0. When R is equal to 0, students, definitely Byx will be 0. When R is equal to 0, that indicates the two variables are uncorrelated. If the variables are uncorrelated, the regression coefficient B will definitely have value 0. So the correct option is D. Now students, I think 11th MCQ, 12th MCQ, 13th, 14th, all we have done. Now students, section B. In section B, today I am going to explain two very important questions, questions 9 and 10. And remember, this question 9, students, has been asked for 5 to 7 times in board examination in a different form. So section B, students, you mark questions 9 and 10. Now 11, 12, 13 I have already explained, so I think this will complete our section B in total. You can check from the lectures given previously. Will the regression coefficient change if the values of both the variables are doubled with the help of transformation of scale? First of all, students, what do you understand by the question? If both the variables are doubled by a scale transformation. Now all of you know that B is independent of change of origin but not scale. So section B, question 9. Very important. let us say u is equal to twice x and v is equal to twice y. The question tells us that will the regression coefficient change? Regression coefficient means b. If the values of both the variables x and y are doubled with the help of transformation of scale, means x is changed to 2x and that I call as u, and y is changed to 2y, students, and that I call as v. Now recall the formula which I taught in the last lecture. Byx is equal to bvu into cy upon cx. This is the most important formula of chapter. Students, this formula, or this is the most important formula, students, of the entire chapter. Now u is written as twice x. If you remember, u was written in this form: u is equal to x minus a upon cx, and v was written as y minus b upon cy. Yes or no? So I can write u is equal to x minus 0 upon 1 by 2. What is 1 upon 1 by 2? 2. When I transfer this 2 in the denominator, it becomes 1 by 2. And nothing is there with x, so I am subtracting 0. So a becomes 0 and cx becomes 1 by 2. Same way, v is equal to y minus 0 upon 1 by 2. This is cy. Now if you notice, cy and cx are same. So cy upon cx will turn out to be 1. So byx is equal to bvu into 1 by 2 upon 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2 cancel. So this will be same as bvu. So b won't change. B does not change. But if one variable was doubled and another variable was tripled, say u is equal to twice x and v is equal to thrice y, students, in that case b would have changed. Here yb is not changing because cy and cx are same. If cy and cx are same, their ratio will be 1. So if both the variables are doubled or tripled or made 5 times at a time, then students, the value of regression coefficient b will never change. So students, this is one of the most important VSQ of section B, question 9. Now students, I go for question number 10. If r is equal to 0.5, sx is 2, sy is 4, what is the value of byx? Okay, whenever correlation coefficient is given, students, we have to use this formula to find byx, which is r into sy upon sx. Now r is 0.5, sy is given as 4, and this is given as 2. 0.5 into 2, so the answer is 1. Now these are so easy sums, students. These are some of the most easiest sums. But the only thing which you have to be careful is to apply the appropriate formula, students. We have to apply the appropriate formula. So students, this completes our section B in total. Now students, section C, I think first 4 sums we have done. Now 5th sum and 6th sum. Okay, 6th sum I think still we cannot do, 7th sum also we cannot do, but we will be doing question 5th and question 8 of section C. I think 9th and 10th sum we have done. Now B is 1.5, R is 0.8 and standard deviation of X is 1.6, then find standard deviation of Y. Same formula I have to use. Section C, sum number 5. byx is equal to r into sy on sx. Byx is 1.5, r is equal to 0.8. Standard deviation of x is given as 1.6 and standard deviation of y we have to find out. So simplify, students. On simplifying, the answer turns out to be, students, on simplifying with the help of calculator, students, the answer of you can say sy is 3. Yes, this is I think 2 and 1.5 into 2 will be 3. Now check, students, what is difficult here. Simply with the help of calculator, students, we have to substitute in the formula and simplify and get the answer. These are the most interesting questions. Now 8th, for the regression line given in the previous question 7. So regression line is y cap is equal to 35 plus 2x. If the value of y is to be increased by 10 units, then by how many units should be increased in the value of x? Now students, this type of questions are very useful for CA competitive exams, especially you can say the foundation course. Now regression line is given as y cap is equal to sum number 8 of section C. Y cap is equal to 35 plus 2x. So compare this with a plus bx. A is 35 and b is 2. I hope this is very clear. This is only what we have to refer. Now in the interpretation of b, we have told when x changes by 1 unit, y changes by b unit. So x and y, when x changes by 1 unit, y changes by b units. So if the value of y is to be increased by 10 units, then what should be the corresponding change in x? Change in x will be 10 into 1 by 2. So how many units? 5. Simple cross multiplication. You can easily understand here, when x is 1, y becomes 2. So when x is 5, y will be 10. So when y is to be increased by 10 units, x should be increased by 5 units. This type of interpretation questions, students, are repeatedly asked in examination. So please recall this. Now we are left with only 1 or 2 questions of section C, which are questions 6 and 7, which we will be doing. Now students, section D, we are doing sum number 9. Students, section D, we are doing the 9th sum. X bar is 30, y bar is 50, r is equal to 0.8. Standard deviation of x and y are 2 and 5. Obtain the regression line of y on x. Section D, sum number 9. What are the given data? X bar 30, y bar 50. And correlation coefficient R is 0.8. Standard deviation of x and y are 2 and 5. So first of all, we find byx, which is r into sy upon sx, 0.8 into 5 by 2. So this will be 0.4 into 5, which is 2. Now A is equal to y bar minus dx bar. What is y bar? 15. 2 into 30. 15 minus 60, and that is minus 10. So the regression line will be y cap is equal to a plus bx minus 10 plus 2x. This is your answer, students. So today's formula, very easy in application, students. This is not a long sum formula, this is a short sum formula. Students, today's formula is a short sum formula, it is not a long sum formula. And very important for short sums in section C and D. Section C is usually of 2 marks, and section D, students, it is of 3 marks. So I think we have done most of the questions. Now, students, what I am suggesting, that section E, sum number 3, you can do it in homework. I am explaining the question. The following information is obtained for monthly advertisement cost and sales of the last year of a company providing online shopping. We have to obtain the regression line of sales on advertisement cost. Of course, advertisement cost is independent and sales is dependent on advertisement cost. The more you advertise, the more sales we can expect. So X is advertisement cost, Y is sales. X bar is 10, Y bar is 90, Sx is 3, Sy is 12, and R is equal to 0.8. Same formula, same concept, students, you have to use in section E, sum number 3. I am giving as homework. Section E, sum number 3. I think all of you can easily do, students. I have explained. Once again I am explaining. X is advertisement cost, Y is sales, X bar is 10, Y bar is 90, Sx is 3, Sy is 12, and students, R is equal to 0.8. So the regression line of Y on X is, students, Y cap is equal to A plus Bx. The formulas of constants B and A, Byx is equal to R into Sy upon Sx, and A is equal to Y bar minus Bx bar. Find out AB. You get the regression line, students. No estimates are asked. So simply substituting the values of A and B, students, you get the regression line. That's all, students. One more formula is pending in the chapter. I think that we'll do next time, and then we can conclude the formulas of B. That would be the last official formula, students, to find B. I think we are done for this lecture, students. Note down these sums. Once you look and write, once you write without looking, and again revise and write and learn all the formulas of regression coefficient, students. Thank you. Have a nice day.